Hello, I'm Ginger Nelson and welcome to Tea Time. Today I have the pleasure of talking to Greg Kirk, and Greg is running for the State Senate. Welcome.
Thank you, Ginger. It's good to be here.
Now, Greg, tell us a little bit about your background, who you are.
Well, Ginger, I'm from Sumter County, up around Americus, Georgia, and I'm married. I've got my wife and I, we're a blended family. We have 6 children between us. They range in ages from 18 to 29. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, we've got a good span. And our 2 youngest will be graduating Lee County High School this year because we have a house in Sumter County, we have a house in Lee County. And so we're real excited. We've got a lot going on this year, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do. So you're married and blended family, and how many kids again?
6.
6.
Yeah. Now, on one of the cards we send out, we got a picture of our family, and everybody always asks me, and I didn't think people would count them, but there's actually 7 in the card. We have another young man, his name's Will, that he came to live with us when he was in the 11th grade. He's since graduated high school and goes to Darton College and works full-time. So we're real proud of Will.
So
he's ours too.
That's right. So you kind of adopted him.
That's right. Yeah, not legally, but yeah, technically we did.
So do you live in Americus?
We live, in Sumter County, just outside of Americus,
Okay.
off the Vienna Highway, and a lot of people will know where that is.
Yeah. Are you from there?
I am, born and raised.
Born and raised. Now, what gave you the decision to run for the state senate?
Well, Ginger, I'm just real concerned about our future and as a country. There's a lot of things happening here that I'm not happy with. I don't like the way our career politicians tend to go back and forth at each other and don't seem to get a whole lot done. And that's more so on the federal level than it is on the state level. But I also have been involved with politics, going to the Capitol a great deal over the last 14 years. I've served on a number of different boards across the state. Governor Deal appointed me to the Georgia Vocational Rehab Board a couple of years ago, and I served on that board and helped with lots of different legislations over the years, the last couple of years. But I had to resign that position to run for this office. So I've always been there working the process, so I understand the process. And when this seat became available, I never dreamed I was going to be in politics, but I said, I think I can make a difference here with my background, so that's why I'm here.
Now, you talk a little bit about that background. Talk us a little bit about your work background.
Okay. Well, Ginger, I'm an entrepreneur. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. I've started 3 companies over the years. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I have a master's degree in psychology. And my big company I had 100 employees, and we worked with people with disabilities all over the state. And we had 17 counties in South Georgia and 2 counties in Metro Atlanta where we provided those case management services and 100 employees. I sold that business about 7 years ago. And since then, I've done some consulting work. I have a consulting business. And we also have a property management business, and we have our own rental property that we manage. So we stay pretty busy.
Yeah, it sounds like you do.
Yeah.
So you decided to run for the state senate. Now, can you give us, what district is it?
It's Senate District 13, and your very own Tift County Senator Crosby was the senator for that district, and he has served us quite well. But he has chosen not to run again. So I'm running for his seat. Now it covers 9 counties, and it's Sumter, Dooley, Crisp, Dodge, Worth, Wilcox, Turner, Tift, and Lee.
That is a very big area.
Oh, believe me, I'm finding out how big it is.
I bet you are.
I'm running up down roads.
That's what I was going to say. Are you walking up and down these roads?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit. More like running.
More like running.
Yeah.
So it is a big area. It's a big district. It's District 13, you said?
That's right, Senate District 13.
13. And so when is the voting?
Okay, this race is going to be, the primary will be May 20th. And so folks need to really get on board, make up their mind who they want to vote for. Of course, I hope they're going to vote for me, but we need your vote May 20th in the primary, because there is no Democratic opposition, and there is another Republican running for this seat, and so this race will be won May 20th.
Okay. Now, what do you see are the biggest challenges in this area?
You know, as I talk to voters, Ginger, and as I travel around, we're a huge agricultural district, as you know, all those counties I mentioned. And but the biggest thing that seems to be on people's mind is their own finances or their own or the finances of their children. I talked to a lot of people who say, well, I've already retired and we're pretty well set, and but I worry about my children, or I worry about my grandchildren. It's jobs and it's health care seems to be the big things that come up as I go around talking to voters.
Jobs and health care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, what kind of changes do you think that you could help make?
Well, Ginger, I think with my background in business, and I told you from the beginning, I'm an entrepreneur. I just that's the way I'm geared. That's the way I think. I want to work to broker in some businesses and industry into our district so that we can create jobs. Those businesses will create jobs, and those jobs will put people to work, and it'll also increase our tax base because we'll have more working people paying taxes. Buying homes, buying vehicles, going out to eat, and paying just local and state taxes, and it'll increase our population. People will move here, their jobs here. The reason this Senate district covers 9 counties is because a lot of people have moved away because they lost jobs or they had to move to get a job.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Now this is a very large district, like you said. Mm-hmm. How can you, assure us that you can represent it equally?
Well, that's a very good question. I get asked that a good bit on the campaign trail. My company, the big one I had 100 employees. We covered 17 counties in South Georgia. None of them went lacking. In fact, I had 4 employees working in Tift County at the time. And so I'm used to having to move around and travel. Mm-hmm. We had an office, our home office was in Americus, and then we had another office in Tucker, Georgia. And so I was back and forth between those 2 offices. I had a lady ask me the other day, we were talking about the same thing, how big it is. She said, well, I hope you got a good vehicle. I said, well, yes, ma'am, I got a couple of them because I need them.
That's right.
So I'll be visible, I'll be around, and I'll be involved with what's happening in every corner of the district.
So you will go out and you will try and visit every district that you can?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I want to have communication going on all the time, consistent communication. I have an open door policy. On my card I send out to people, it says, hey, call me anytime, and that's the kind of open door I want to have. I had that with my employees when I ran my big company, and we served 3,200 families across the state that had people, our children with developmental disabilities. And so believe me, there were always issues going on because there's always constantly something going on with their child or with the services their child are receiving or the services they need. Mm-hmm. So I kept that. I'm going to keep that policy as your state senator.
Okay. Now, the area is such a big area, and also there are, I guess you could say these days that a lot of people have I'm sure you've gotten this a lot when you've gone up and asked about, can I have your vote? People say, I don't trust politicians.
Yeah.
Have you gotten that?
Oh, yeah, more than once, Ginger, more than once. And you know what? In the day and time we live in, I understand that. And my answer to it is this. Well, I'm 50 years old. I've never ran for a political office. My opponent is a politician. I'm not. And I really didn't have the aspirations to be a politician. But given the circumstances that we're in today, in my background with business and also in healthcare, because I'm a licensed professional counselor, that's my profession. I understand what's happening with the healthcare industry very well, and those are 2 of the hottest topics that are around, and so I feel like I can help make a difference, and that's why I'm running. At the end of the day, Rosalind and I have 6 children, and of course we got Will. We really got 7. We got 4 grandchildren already too, and so our family, I'm concerned about their future. I'm concerned about, and I tell everybody, I want to create jobs. I don't want none of the youngins moving back home.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I don't think any parents want their children to move back home.
We'd love to see them come, but we'd like to see them leave.
I mean, they have that empty nest to begin with, but once they get over that empty nest,
that's right.
They start having fun.
And that's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, I understand you want to help create jobs.
Yep.
And you want to look out for the future of the kids these days. Mm-hmm. So if someone, like I said, is, a little on the fence about this whole politician thing and not trusting the politicians, and for good reason.
Right.
There's, I say there's a lot that is so far to the right, and there's some that are so far to the left. Exactly where do you think you fit in there?
Well, I would be more towards the right. I'm conservative. I've lived my life that way. I've ran my businesses that way. It's worked out very well for me. But at the same time, I learned a long time ago in business, you got to learn to collaborate with others.
Yeah.
And if you look at everybody as your competitor, then you're going to have a particular mindset that's going to be adversarial at times, and it's not going to be good. But if you look at them and say, hey, together we could do this a little bit better, and we could maybe make things happen a little bit quicker and work collaboratively. So I was very successful at doing that. In the 17 counties we worked in Southwest Georgia, we had, I don't know, probably 40 providers. And we had to work between all the providers. So it was real easy to have jealousy and say, oh, well, you're favoring that one, or you're easier on them than you are on us. And so that was kind of a delicate thing to manage. But we had to manage it. I had to learn to manage it in order to be successful. And as your senator, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be firm on what I believe and where I stand. But at the same time, I'm going to reach out and say, hey, guys, let's work together. Let's make this better for Georgia.
Yeah. So you're willing to work with the other party.
Definitely.
But you are conservative, and you know, more to the right side.
That's right.
But yeah, I understand. So is there anything else that you would like to get across to the audience of what, if you become senator, what you would do, what they can expect from you?
Yeah, well, Ginger, you know, as your senator, I'm going to work hard in all areas of this district, and you're going to see me, you're going to know I'm out here, you're going to know who I am and what I stand for. You'll never walk away and say, well, I wonder what he thinks about this. You're going to know what I stand for, and I'm going to fight hard to make South Georgia what I know it to be. We've got good people here, we have a good work ethic down here. There's some folks that have forgotten that. We need to help educate them and bring them along. And that's what I'm going to do for South Georgia. I'm going to help bring some jobs here. I'm going to help us navigate through this problematic healthcare system that we have. And I'm going to help make South Georgia what I remember it being when I was growing up back in the 60s and 70s.
So for those of you who are watching, you are going door to door, right?
I'm making a lot of contact all over the county. Yes, I've been in. I wish I had pulled the statistics, because I'm trying to keep up with as best I can. But like this morning, I was meeting with a group here in Tifton. There was about 10 guys there. You know, so yeah, I'm going around and meeting as many people as I can. And
you're at different events that are going on throughout these counties as well.
Definitely.
I know I've seen you at several events lately.
That's right.
So if someone is, you know, interested in meeting you, do you have a contact information that they could get in contact with you?
Absolutely. They can call my campaign number is 229-854-9706, and just say, hey, we got a group down here. We want you to come meet with us. We'll schedule that and make it happen.
And are you on Facebook as well?
Oh, we got a Facebook site. You know what? I was not on Facebook till I started running for this campaign. My wife had a page.
So you had to learn how.
I had to learn how, I admit. I held out as long as I could, but I'm there now. And I'll tell you one thing about Facebook. I have learned it's one of the greatest waste of times that I know of.
The greatest waste. I think that's what my husband would probably say about it. That's great. But you also have a website as well. Give us your website address.
It's www.gregkirk.org, GREGKIRK.org.
So anybody can go to that website and they can find out more information about you as well.
Certainly. They can email me. They, like I said, the campaign number's there. So there's ways to get in touch with me.
Tell us again that date we need to go out and vote.
May 20th is coming up. It's only about from today. It's about 8 weeks away. So we're getting close.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show with me today.
Well, thank you, Ginger. I appreciate you having me. Likewise.
And you don't want to forget to go out and vote. It is May the 20th, coming up real soon. We appreciate you being with us today, and we'll see you next time right here on Plant TIFNet's Wiregrass Channel 3.
Kick off spring at the annual Folk Life Festival at the Georgia Museum of Agriculture, Saturday, April 5th. Visit the museum and Living History Village to celebrate South Georgia history, art, and agriculture. View and participate in activities such as mule plowing, sheep shearing, wool spinning, and the firing of the turpentine still. Join in with our square dancers as they do-si-do to good old-time music. To top the day off, satisfy your appetite with goodies like hand-dipped ice cream and homemade pound cake at the annual Folk Life Festival, Saturday, April 5th at the Georgia Museum of Agriculture in Tifton.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Hello, I'm Ginger Nelson and welcome to Tea Time. Today I had the pleasure of talking to Bryce Johnson. He is running for Georgia State Senate. Welcome, Bryce.
Well, thank you, Ginger. It's great to be here today.
So you are running for the Georgia State Senate. That's a big seat to fill.
That's right. It's 9 counties in southwest and south central Georgia. It covers about 170,000 people. And there's some big shoes to fill with the retirement of Senator Crosby. So it's going to be quite a challenge.
Yeah. Now, how long was he in the Senate?
Senator Crosby was elected in 2008.
Okay.
Joseph Carter held the seat from 04 to 08, and then when he left the seat, that's when, you'll have to forgive me, I call him Judge Crosby because he was judge so long.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think everybody in Atlanta calls him Judge Crosby too, but he's been there for 6 years.
Okay, all right. Now, Bryce, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you came from?
Sure. Well, currently I live in Tifton. I've been here for about 9 years. I'm the Assistant Solicitor General of Tift County, and up until about 3 weeks ago, I was the solicitor in Worth County, and that person is the elected prosecutor. It's kind of like being the DA for misdemeanors. So anything that the maximum penalty is 12 months in jail or a $1,000 fine, traffic offenses, bad checks, batteries, all those sorts of things is what we handle in Tift State Court.
Gotcha. Now, you're from?
I grew up in Sylvester. I grew up in Worth County. I lived there, my whole life until I went off to college. And I grew up there right in the middle of town. I had great parents that stressed education and hard work, and my grandparents were also a big influence on me. My grandparents ran the gas station right in the middle of Sylvester, and so I learned a lot there on that street corner, and got to meet people from all walks of life, and I think that's really the first time that I maybe caught the political bug there, seeing all the candidates come around and talk about issues with the folks that were voting on them.
So you started, that was a young age that you got interested in politics.
Oh yeah, I was young, young grade school, probably, second, third, fourth grade, something like that.
Most kids at that age don't really know what politics are.
Well, yeah, and of course, I also do the Friday night football show that, it's on WTIF and Burning Country, and so I was the little kid that I liked talking politics in the afternoon, and then, I'd go home at night and watch the Braves or watch whatever football game was on. So that was kind of two areas that I always liked, were sports and politics, and I guess at 42 I still do. Yeah. So where did you go to school? Okay. Well, I went to college. Well, let me back up. I actually went to high school at Tift area. Graduated there in 1990. Went to ABAC for a year, then transferred up to the University of Georgia. Ended up graduating from Valdosta State, and then I went to graduate school, law school at Mercer in Macon.
So what do you actively do now?
Okay, I'm still doing the prosecution work.
Okay.
Jason Hoffman is the elected here in Tift County, and he and we prosecute all the misdemeanor crimes in Tift County and Worth County, and I also do the juvenile court for Worth County and Turner County as well. Okay, and you're married? I am. My wife Erica, she's an attorney. She's got an office down on 2nd Street, right across from the courthouse in Tifton. Okay, well now you told me before cameras got
rolling. You told me a little bit about how you two met.
Yeah.
You have to tell that story.
Okay. Well, we met on a political campaign. I was working for a Republican candidate for Congress back in 2000, and she was working for the Tifton Gazette. And she was covering the race, and I was sort of the liaison. I guess you would call me the press. I was the press person on the campaign, and that's how we met. Now, we didn't start dating until a couple years later, so we weren't dating during the campaign. But I always tell the candidate that I worked for at the time that he's the reason we're married today. So it was. An interesting time, and as I told you before we started taping, that I always heard that you never make anybody mad that buys ink by the barrel.
Buys ink by the barrel.
But I think I took it to the extreme. I ended up marrying someone that at the time bought ink by the barrel. But she ended up, she loved being a reporter, but she also wanted to go to law school and be a prosecutor. And she did that and worked in the DA's office here. She was a prosecutor for about 12 years before she went out on her own last year.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, Bryce, can you tell us a little bit about organizations that you are involved in?
Okay. Well, Erica and I, we attend First Methodist Church here in Tifton, and I serve currently on the Board of Trustees there at First United Methodist. I've been on the Board of Directors for Ruth's Cottage and the Patty Cake House, which is the women's shelter here in town, and also the Child Advocacy Center. I've also served on the board of Lifehouse Ministries, which is a ministry that deals with young girls who end up pregnant. And also, previous to that, I served on the board of Best Friend Humane Society over in Worth County.
So what gave you, I guess, the idea to run for state senate?
Well, as I said, my parents and grandparents were big influences on my life, and they sort of instilled in me, an appreciation for public service and the importance of it. And I feel like I've been blessed. I was able to grow up here in South Georgia, get a good education, went off to college, and then I was able to come back and find a career here so that I could come back here to South Georgia and earn a living. And I think it's important for those of us that have been blessed in that way to try to give back and make sure that future generations can do the same thing, that we have a good education system for our kids here. They can go to school wherever they want. And if they want to stay in South Georgia or come home, that there's a job here that they can take and earn a decent living and raise their families here.
So what changes do you see that need to be made?
Well, the good thing is Atlanta is not nearly the train wreck that Washington is. Washington just seems like, there are all sorts of problems going on up there, and there's partisan gridlock, and some of the gridlock I think it comes from right now the Republicans just trying to stop some of the liberal agenda that the president's pushing. But Atlanta seems to work better than that. But I think we as a state can do better, especially here in South Georgia. We can make sure that we invest in our education systems. That means K-4 through 12, but also our colleges and universities. We have ABAC here in town, we have UGA Tifton, we have the Moultrie Tech campus here, but all over our district, Georgia Southwestern, up in Americus, it borders the district. Over in Albany, you have Darton and Albany State, which are within a couple miles of our district. Up in Cordele, you have the tech school there. We have Middle Georgia State up in Eastman, which has the aviation school, which does a great job training workers to go to work at Robins Air Force Base. So I think we have some assets in our district that we really need to make sure that we make sure that they're stable and that they have the resources they need. And then also I think we need to make sure that there's a climate in this state so businesses can grow, especially small businesses, create jobs, expand their operations as well. And I think some of the things we can do is to make sure that we don't have a regulatory burden that hurts business. I'd love for us to look at our tax structure. Most small businesses are set up as LLCs or sole proprietorships. I think we need to look at those income tax rates and how we can bring them down. And maybe even, for larger corporations that are trying to expand and bring jobs, maybe, have some sort of flat tax system that can help them grow, because that's ultimately what we want to do. It's like you and I talked about before. The two big issues I see, we've got to have a strong education system, and then once we get those folks educated, we've got to have a strong economy so that they can find jobs here in South Georgia when they get through their education.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I agree. Okay, Bryce, you talked about the district,
Yes.
and the different counties that are in the district. It is District 13.
That's correct.
Could you tell us exactly what area that covers?
Sure. It's 9 counties. The counties are Crisp, Dodge, Dooley, Lee, Sumter, Tift, Turner, Wilcox, and Worth. Now, 7 of the counties are whole, but 2 of the counties are split, and the 2 split counties are Sumter and Wilcox. Basically, we have the eastern half of Sumter, and Wilcox is a little more confusing the way the lines are drawn, but basically we have everything north of 280 in Wilcox County. So it's, I like to tell people that there's some of the states up in New England that are probably smaller than the 13th Senate District. So it's quite a haul from, say, Smithville to Eastman.
That is a very big area to cover.
It is, and but it's fun. I enjoy getting over to Lee County and getting up to Dodge County, and it's always meeting new people and sort of hearing what their concerns are, and I really enjoy that process of getting out and getting around the district. So.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to tell the voters who may be watching?
Okay, well, the main thing is, I'm a strong conservative. I grew up in South Georgia. This is my home, and I intend for it to always be my home. I want to go to Atlanta and represent the people from this part of the state. I always want to be accessible to my constituents here in South Georgia, and just ask for everybody's consideration on May 20th.
May the 20th. Now, you think you're the best candidate. Why?
Well, that's a tough question to answer, because I don't want to brag. I mean, I hate to seem like I'm bragging, but I do think, I grew up here. I love this part of the state. I think it's the best part of Georgia. Atlanta's great. Atlanta's an economic engine, but I do think that the people here and the resources we have here make South Georgia a great place to be. I think my experiences as a prosecutor, I've seen what can happen when people don't finish their education and they end up unable to find work and they end up turning to crime. And I think that experience will serve me well in Atlanta when dealing with those types of issues. As a local official, I've had a chance to deal with budgets for the last 9 years. And of course, we have to live within our means, here at the local level. And I think that gives me a good perspective from a local government official going to Atlanta. We don't need to pass unfunded mandates down to our local governments, our county commissions and our cities and our school board. And I think that gives me a good perspective when we're voting on issues in Atlanta, as I can look and say, well, how's it going to affect the local folks back home? So I think all those things, sort of coupled together, make me the best candidate for the job.
That's great. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
Now, Bryce, can you tell us a little bit about your contact information? Are you out walking the streets?
Sure.
Are you riding the streets, or what are you doing?
Well, we're doing some door-to-door. I walked around a couple neighborhoods in Tifton the other day. I am incorporating a golf cart into the the process, and I think that'll make it a little quicker and a little less. Of course, you could say I need the exercise, but we do have a website. It's www.bryce.com. My campaign phone number, 229-238-1498, and we're on Facebook. Just search Bryce Johnson for Senate, and the Facebook's really been a great resource because people can go on there. They can post on the campaign wall. They can inbox me. So however's easiest. We look forward to hearing from everybody.
So if someone's more interested in getting to know you, or they have a question, they can feel free to call you.
Sure, absolutely. And unless I'm asleep or in court somewhere, I will pick up that phone.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show with us today. The election is May the 20th, right?
That's right. May the 20th. Early voting starts April the 28th.
Oh, okay.
So this thing will be on us before we know it, and I appreciate you having me.
Well, it was nice getting to know you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks a lot.
Don't forget, May the 20th, get out and vote. It is your right and your duty, and we appreciate you being with us today, and we will see you next time right here on Plant TIFNet's Wiregrass Channel 3.